Welcome to Indie Influencer. I'm Jim Catapano, and today I have the honor of talking with Reginald T. Jackson, who is a legendary figure in the New York art scene, and will be bringing his inspiring and very important new production to the Fresh Fruit Festival from April 23rd through April 25th.
When We Practice to Deceive is the name of the play. It's a romantic comedy. Um, it's a love letter, I say, to the trans community in specific and to the LGBTQ plus community in general. It focuses on uh, Lady Jasmine and Kevin Cooper, who are in love and they've been dating for 6 months, but he's been hiding it from his mother and his family because she's trans. And so when the play starts, he's meeting with his mother and he finally confesses that he's been dating someone for 6 months and he wants her to meet him. So he sets up a meeting for his mother to meet with Lady Jasmine. What happens at the very beginning, his mother shows up to the restaurant first. Then Lady Jasmine shows up. They don't know who they are. They both start talking like two ladies, just chit-chatting or whatever. Then Lady Jasmine excuses herself and goes to the bathroom. And his mother comes in the bathroom and hears her peeing standing up
Hmm.
and runs out of the bathroom, comes to the bartender and orders a drink when she's just said she doesn't drink. But she said desperate times call for desperate measures. She comes out, Lady Jasmine comes out the bathroom. She does not know the mother knows. And then who shows up but Kevin?
Uh-huh.
And they show up, and then Kevin says, "This is my mom. This is my girlfriend." And then they freak out. "You're the mom? You're the girlfriend?" And then the hilarity and the fun begins. And it runs for about 90 minutes. It's mostly comedy. There's a few serious moments in there because I try to tell the truth about trans women. We're very lucky to have Sunny B. She's the trans lead actress, and we're so happy to have her. We did an exhaustive search to find an actual trans actress, not just a trans person or not just an actress, but both.
Right.
And she is both. She's got years of experience and she's beautiful and she's leading this cast and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I hope everyone comes out and has fun with us and supports trans women. The reason I wrote this piece is because the American Medical Association has categorized the murder of trans women by their intimate partners to be so prevalent that it's called an epidemic now.
Mm.
Because I don't know if you saw on Facebook just 2 days ago, I sent it to my cast. There's a woman, trans woman, Devante, and in Georgia, and she was hacked to death by with a hammer, the claw side of the hammer, by her boy on and off again boyfriend,
I did hear
because he
that.
didn't want people to find out what his sexual orientation is. And this,
Okay.
unfortunately, is what the community is facing right now, in addition to the attacks from this administration and the political right. So I felt I needed to step in. I'm a very much an activist playwright. I like to tackle issues. I like to educate my audience while I'm entertaining them. And I thought this was an issue very worthy. And I chose comedy because it's a wonderful way to disarm people. People may come in with biases or with nerves. I don't know. I don't know a trans person. Or they think they don't know. They know it's trans person. They just don't know the person's trans because the
Exactly.
person is passing so well. But comedy disarms them. And before you know it, everyone joins in to the laughter. And by the time the play is over, I guarantee you, you will have a different outlook on trans women and a new appreciation for them.
That's great to hear. As someone who has several loved ones who are trans, I'm very glad to hear, through art we can do wonderful things. And again, like you said, there's a great purpose to comedy as well because it's historically we've seen when you give a comedic spin to something while still grounding it in the reality, I think it can be very effective. So
Yes, we do have some serious moments, some serious moments that are kind of hurtful, but it's all based on the reality of what would really be happening. I didn't want to make it too, perfect or unicornish, anything like that. I wanted it to be real so that people can see what the real realities are, but at the same time have a good time. And um, as you said, the comedy is it's a very good tool. It's a very good tool for that because you don't have to hit people over the head with the issue or be too blunt. You know, it we just watched the mother character, Mama Cooper, go from not knowing she's trans to finding out she's trans because she's in the bathroom
Hmm.
to eventually falling in love with her like her son does.
That's wonderful. Yeah, and to see that
And
play
we
out in
can
real
be, the
time.
audience can be Mama Cooper and struggle
Exactly.
with those same issues that she's struggling with and laugh with her.
Right. So Mama Cooper can be sort of the audience identification figure to say,
Yes,
let's
that
take this journey together and experience this, and again, as somebody who, has been with loved ones who've,
yes, I have some close friends who are
mhm,
trans. As a
mhm.
matter of fact, the actual Lady Jasmine Van Wales is coming to opening night.
Wonderful. Yeah, that'll be
Yes, so the
Thursday the
cast will get to
24th
meet
at 6
her.
p.m.
She
Yeah.
is a legend in the community.
Mm.
I've known her since the 80s, so I'm dating myself.
Right.
You can see from the little gray hair. Uh, um, she's a legend, and I wanted to honor her too for being an icon and a legend in the community, and who's successfully survived all the craziness that was going on in the 80s and the 90s with HIV and AIDS, and then the potential violence, just being a trans woman and all this one. And she's
Right.
not only survived, she's come out glowing on the other side. She's an incredible performer. That's why I made this Lady Jasmine a performer as well. She sings, she dances, she tells jokes. It's all fabulous.
Yeah, she's absolutely thrived. And
Yeah,
that's
so if people want an extra treat, they can come on opening night and see Lady Jasmine Van Wales.
wonderful. No, we're very glad to hear them, and to be able to let our audience know that. That's a wonderful thing to hear and experience. So, yeah, speaking of going back in time, I think I would like to go back a little bit and talk
Sure,
about your first forays into the arts and the founding of the Rainbow Repertory Theatre in
sure.
1988, I believe. If you can like
Yes,
take me
yes,
through how that came out and
sure. What happened was when I graduated college, undergraduate, in theater and in music, a bachelor's in both, I had started going to LGBTQ theater. I was so excited about seeing it because I had just come out that April.
mm,
So it was very new to me. I was very excited. I was graduating with a music and a theater degree. So I wanted, to check out that and see the new thing. And there was a lot of things happening, you know. So it wasn't like there wasn't a community to go to. But when I went to about, I say within the first month of graduation, I went to about 10 different plays. Some were short, some were full length, most were comedies, but they were all by white companies, and
mm,
they were all white. They may have sometimes one token black person, but he wouldn't be in the whole play. He would just
right.
be in the beginning, and then he would disappear or whatever. Very similar to like sci-fi. They say whenever there's a black guy in sci-fi, Mr. Johnson is going to die in the first 30 minutes of the film. So
Unfortunate trope. Yeah.
yeah, so I was very disappointed, but I was not angry. I was just disappointed because I was looking for my representation and it wasn't there.
Right.
And as a founding member of other countries, Black Gay Men Writing, and a founding member of GMAD, Gay Men of African Descent, I was seeing, Black men, Black gay men, and coming together, wanting us to create our existence and our future and so forth. So it spawned this idea. I was like, well, it probably isn't there because it doesn't exist. So
Right.
I came up with this slogan. I said, from the page to the stage. If you write it, I'll produce it. and we'll create Black gay theater together. And I started with, I was, people say, oh, you can't start a Black gay theater in the middle of an AIDS crisis. It's just, no one's going to want to come, no one's going to fund it and everything. And it just wasn't so. But I went to my first foundation, the North Star Fund, and they funded me for $500 to start with. And I used that $500 to rent out the Mason Temple in Brooklyn.
Mm.
And there was this brilliant playwright, um, Philip Blackwell, who wrote this play called Two Heads, which is a wonderful play. It's sort of kind of similar to um, uh, uh, um, Colored Museum by, Colored Museum by um,
Oh, I don't, but I'll
George
definitely.
George C. Wolfe. But so it's similar to that, but it's instead of having just one scene about the LGBTQ community, the whole play. It's two characters and they play different types of gay characters. An African at one point, a lesbian at another point, and stuff. It was a brilliant play. And Philip Blackwell, I approached him to do the play, and he was very sick. He
Mm.
was succumbing to AIDS. And I told him, I said, before you go, I want to present this play. I want the world to see your work.
Right.
And so I got some actors together. I rented out from the $500, and I got the theater in Brooklyn, and we had our first production to launch Rainbow Repertory Theatre, and we did the production of Two Heads, and it was well received. The first night, I'll tell you, we only had two people because it had a snowstorm. It was in February, and it was a snowstorm in Brooklyn. So only two people came out, but then we did it for the whole weekend, and it got much better by the end of the weekend. That's something they also said. Oh, people won't come to Brooklyn to see
Mm.
theater, you know? And I was like, well, we're the only thing on the block. So if they
Exactly.
want to see something Black and LGBTQ plus, they better come to Brooklyn.
Right. Has
So
to be.
they came, and it was a beautiful production, and it was so beautiful that we videotaped it, not for general distribution, but to show it to Philip because he was housebound and he was telling his caretaker all the time, they're doing my play, doing my. She thought he was hallucinating,
Mm.
and then I showed up and with the videotape, show again the 80s, the videotape of the play. And we sat there in his bedroom and we watched the play together. And she cried. She was like, I thought he was making it all up. I
Wow.
didn't really believe it. All he talked about was his play, his play, his play. And so I had a wonderful time. We watched the play, we talked and we laughed. And unfortunately, he expired the next day. He
Oh,
literally willed himself to stay alive until he saw his play. And after he
incredible.
saw that video, she said, I believe he allowed himself to let go because he was in a lot of pain. He had a very proficient amount of Kaposi sarcoma lesions, and he had PCP pneumonia really bad. And so it was a very struggle. But she said that he was holding on and was talking about this play, and she couldn't believe, she thought he had dementia and didn't
Wow.
believe him. And she was so glad I showed up. And he willed himself to live until he saw the play and he saw it on videotape, and then he let himself go the next day.
That was so moving. I really appreciate you sharing that
Yeah,
remarkable
and
story
that
with us.
became my battling cry. I was like, after that, we have to do it. So I
Yeah.
started going around to people, spread the word. If you'll write it, I'll produce it, and we'll put it on stage. And we start working with a lot of local writers and from other countries, Black women writing, from the female community. Back then, it was called Salsa Soul Sisters.
Hmm.
Now it's called something very long name. Now and we got some female writers from that. And we did um, lesbian plays as well as gay plays. We were actually fortunate enough in 92, I believe it was, we presented the first LGBT plus play at the National Black Theater. It was a big scandal.
Mm.
The guy Tunde, who was the assistant managing director, brought us to the play because he believed in the community. And my managing director, Jeffrey Haskins, had worked up in Harlem a lot. So he knew Tunde, and he talked to him about bringing it there, and it was a successful run. Although the first night was very dramatic. Someone
Really?
got back to Barbara Ann Tier, the founder of National Black Theater, and told her there was a gay play happening in her theater.
Wow.
And she got word of it, and she stormed down to come and shut us down.
Oh, good.
And
Wow.
fortunately for us, she was late. So she had to sit through the first act. And after she sat through the first act, then I met with her in intermission. And all the bluster that she had, storming in went away. And she became this very meek and docile person. And she wouldn't look at me. She looked at the ground the whole time.
Wow.
And she said, what you're doing is very profound and very interesting. But you have to understand it's very painful to Black women.
Hmm.
I said, really? And she said, yes. And I said, well, um, we have a Black woman in the play, and she's very supportive. And I think other women would be too. And she said, well, um, based on what I saw in the first act, I am not going to shut you down, but I do ask that you put in audience talkbacks at the
Huh.
end of every show, because this is going to bring up a lot of issues for a lot of people. And I don't want them to walk out the theater and be triggered and have all these questions or doubts or whatever. And I said, sure, that would be wonderful. We would love that. The name of the play was called Face to Face by Mark R. Green, which was we produced that about 3 times because it was such a good piece. It actually got a production at the Joseph Papp Public Theater also by George C. Wolfe. So it was done at the public as well, but we did it first at National Black Theater. And it was the first play. And it not only was successful, but they followed it up with their own LGBTQ plus play called The Third Rhythm.
Wow.
It starred Timac. I don't know if you remember, he was a big star from Motown. He was in the first Motown movie where he played the karate person. He was the karate guy in the movie, and his name he was a big movie star in it called Timac, and he was like a teen pop star, whatever. And he played the lead role in The Third Rhythm. So not only did we present the first LGBTQ play at the National Black Theater, but we opened the door to them doing a full main stage production, not just for 3 weeks, but and with an A-list actor.
Right.
And
Incredible.
we were very, very happy about that. We were very pleased that we not only could present, but we could also open the door to other works being done uptown because
Exactly. And
it was not heard of to go uptown. Again, they said, oh, you can't go uptown to Harlem with gay theater. They're not going to go for it.
right. And so
We
you
went up where there's a will, there's a way.
exactly,
Yeah, my mother always told me, she said, if God shuts a door, it's only because he's opened a window. So stop
right.
banging your head on the door and look for the window. And that's
Right.
what we've had to do for the 18 years that I had Rainbow running consistently. It still exists, but we do much less stuff. But it still exists. But for 18 years, we were doing main stage productions every year. We actually culminated with our own center on 25th Street between 7th and 8th. Dwayne, Tom Dwayne was on the corner of 25th and 8th Avenue. He actually was at our grand opening. He was our guest speaker, and he was a very good friend to the theater as well was Christine Quinn, who was then his assistant. And now she's much, much bigger and more well known than he is. I've watched her grow. It's amazing. It's amazing. I knew her when she was just an assistant to Dom Dwayne. Now
Incredible.
she's incredible.
Yeah. And it's an amazing journey. Just like as you said, being told, "Oh, you can't do that," or "That's not done," or "That can't happen," and every single time you made it happen.
Absolutely.
Uh,
I don't believe that. I don't believe that. When people say that, you know what I hear? It hasn't been done yet.
exactly. And
That's
it's a
all I
challenge.
hear.
Yeah.
Exactly. A
Hmm.
challenge. It hasn't
Yeah.
been done yet. That's what I hear. I don't hear, "Oh, don't do it." I said, "Oh, so it hasn't been done yet. I guess I'll have to do it."
Exactly.
That's the
Yeah.
way I look at it. That's the way I look at it. And I've had to continue that way throughout my whole career. Even, when I stopped doing main stage productions with Rainbow, I was cast as the black gay guy. And as my friend and former agent, Morgan Jeunesse, who's one of the best dramaturgs in the business, may she rest in peace, she died last year. Um, she would go to all these theaters and they would say, no, we can't produce him because we have a gay audience that's white and we have a black audience that's straight.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have black gay audiences, so there's no one who would come and see it. Our subscribers would not come because they don't support that. And I said, well, if they would only give us a chance, they would see that there would be an audience.
Exactly.
But none of the theaters would take a shot. So I had to literally go away. I went first to California and then to Atlanta and just chilled and let things blow over. Then I came back to New York very unceremoniously, and I went straight into short film. And I produced 3 short films in 2 years and was very successful. My film Soulmates got accepted into a number of festivals, including the Hollywood Black Film Festival, which is called the Black Sundance. And they actually presented it as a feature at the Ricardo Montalban Theater on Hollywood Boulevard. And it was
Excellent.
beautiful. Me and a lot of the cast members flew to Los Angeles to sit in the theater with 35 feet screen to see our work. It was just breathtaking. I
What a
was like,
moment.
wow. And again, it was one of those, oh, you can't do black film, not like that or whatever, with shoestring budget, because I was just paying out of my pocket to do it.
Hmm.
It made it all the way to the Black Sundance. And I did that. And then afterwards, I started to creep in, putting a toe in the water, then the whole foot, and then a leg, and now years later, I'm becoming very well known and successful. I've been this last year and a half, I've been producing I mean, literally, before we can finish the last one, we're working on the next one. This piece is coming out, is beautiful, and we're doing this April 23rd, 24th, and 25th at the Wild Project Theater. And then right after that, we go into casting for my next play at the Midtown International Theater Festival called Crabs in a Barrel. So it's just, and before that, we were at the Players Theater with their Love festival, and we did Personal Purgatory. That was in February. And then before that, in December, we were at the International Human Rights Campaign Festival with another short play of mine called Black in the First Degree, and it goes on and on and on. So I've been very blessed, as I say, busy, booked, and blessed.
And that's the thing to be ensconced in the work and have it constantly happening and constantly growing. And so people can come to see when we practice to deceive, April 23rd. I think it's 6 p.m. for the nights of the
Yes,
23rd and
April
24th.
23rd, April
Hmm.
24th is at 6 p.m. at the Wild Players Theater, 195 East 3rd Street. And then Saturday at noon, we close on the 25th at noon. And
Saturday
like
at
I
noon.
said, for an extra treat, if you come on opening night, the 23rd, you can meet the actual Lady Jasmine Van Wales, who the leading character is based on, and she will be in the audience with a guest. And she's agreed, of course, to just afterwards definitely meet the audience and meet the
Mhm.
cast and so forth. So
Yeah, that would be a fantastic opportunity. Yes,
I
and
think
I'd
it
plan
would
to be
be
there myself.
she's a fantastic person. I mean, for me to write a whole play, not just for the trans community, but also to put her in as the lead character, because I felt her story was worthy of that, because she is an icon in the community. I think you get a great 2 for 1, a
Yeah,
great night of theater, have a ball laughing and learning, and then also get to meet a true icon in the
can't wait.
community. There's not many of them left. Not
Exactly.
many of them left. New icons are being made, but it's nothing like the old ones who go all the way back to the 80s with me.
Yeah, and you want to honor the old guard whenever you can,
Yes.
as we welcome the new ones.
Exactly,
Absolutely.
exactly. Because there's so we need to build a bridge
Yeah,
between the people that started everything with the kids now, because it seems they seem very adjusted to stuff and they have so many benefits because everything's out there and wonderful, but they need to know their history. They need to know what we came from. They need to know what we did and what shoulders they stand on. Just because a lot of people my age aren't around anymore, they succumb to the crisis,
right,
doesn't mean there isn't a few of us still here who can tell the story. Especially as people of color, our history has always been an oral one.
right.
So we can share our oral history of what it was like creating Gay Men of African Descent in '86 with Charles Angel, who was dying of AIDS at the time as well, and what it was like to create Other Countries, Black Men Writing, again with Joseph Bean, who died that same year, HIV related as well. But we persevered and we created these organizations and we brought them. Thank God, Other Countries still exist to this day. And GMAT is in transition at the moment, but they need to know the history.
It's very important that we honor, not only honor the people who have come before us and the pioneers, not just in art, but in all, facets of culture, and for the kids to learn from that and to, because there's such a rich history, and it's important for kids to know what transpired before they were born and what led to, where we are now and where we're going. I mean, if you want to know where you're going, you want to know where you've been.
Exactly. They
Yeah,
say if you don't know where you've been and you don't know the mistakes that were made, you're doomed to repeat them.
exactly.
So I say, let us build this bridge to the kids these days. I'll tell you on a less theater note, but more film note, but I'm in Marlon Riggs and Essex Sinfield were good friends of mine, and I'm in three of Marlon Riggs' films: Tongues Untied, Anthem, and Affirmation, which is all me. Um, and the funny thing is, I see the young kids now, the college age and high school age, and I walk down the street. I don't walk too much because I drive everywhere, but
Hmm.
when I do walk down the street, I see them staring and
Mm.
they look and they look and I go, oh yeah, you've seen me before. They're playing those movies now in high school and in college, and so they recognize me because I'm in the movies, and so it's
Oh
so
wow.
funny. It's like it's having a total resurgence now in the 220 what's this 2020s because it's become part of the curriculum for a lot of high school programs and a lot of film programs in college level. They actually have an exhibit in Stanford, I believe, of Marlon's work. And I'm actually going out to North Adams in the Berkshires in Massachusetts, the 20 June 15th to the 21st. They're having a big Mocha Men conference where they're going to celebrate on the weekend of Juneteenth. And they're flying a number of us out there who are good friends with Essex and good friends with Marlon. And we're going to talk about what it was like being with them. They're doing a book and they're doing a full exhibit that will be at Stanford, and I'll be in the book and I'll be in the exhibit. We're going to do a photo shoot, and then we're going to do a couple of recorded interviews, one individual and then together. I think panel style, and they'll be transcribed, put in the book, and then the audio of which will be part of the exhibit. They'll probably edit it down to just, maybe 10, 15 minutes. People can listen to us talk about Essex and about Marlon and their contributions because again, those were pioneers as well. And they unfortunately expired in 1995, right around the time protease inhibitors were coming out.
Right. And it's
Yeah,
important.
there seems to be this funny
Mhm.
line in the sand. Those who came out after protease inhibitors and those before.
Hmm.
So those who came out after mostly have survived, and those who came out before didn't have anything but AZT, which was um,
Right.
really devastating, especially for um, gay men of color and women of color, because they only tested on gay men. So the doses they were giving them was twice as toxic as they needed. So
Brutal.
they were dying from the medication because it was too toxic on them. And they didn't find this
Seriously.
out till well after the 90s when they start switching to the protease inhibitors and they saw people start to rebound and um, blossom. And they
Yeah.
realized it was not just a disease, but it was the medication as well.
It's tragic, but it's that again, it's so important for people today to know that and know that story and know what people went through, especially people of color at the time of the 80s. And sure, things are easier today. It's easier to keep people healthy, but a lot of people were sacrificed to an era when they didn't quite know what to do. And I
Yes.
think those stories need to be told. And not only the people that lived them then, but the people who are with us today who can tell their stories. It's very important.
Exactly. Well, again, like I said, when you don't know the history, you're in the mistakes, you're doomed to repeat them. I mean, I was dumbstruck that they announced in January that the number of infections for people of color in the five boroughs was at 1,800 for last year. That's incredible. You would think there would be five or three because they have PrEP, they have
Right.
Cabenuva, which I'm on,
Mm,
and they'll deliver it to your door. You don't even have to go anywhere.
exactly.
So you wonder, and they know everything that you could possibly know about the virus. So you at 1,800
It shouldn't be.
in 1 year, just in the five boroughs? It sounds like,
Yeah,
they're making the same mistakes that were made decades before, and because no one is telling them, and they're
exactly.
having a rude awakening. That's devastating. I was devastated. 1,800?
That's tragic too. And again, it's like we have to learn from our history, and that is in so many walks of life. I mean, I think that's the lesson of, if not this year, then this entire decade, that we have to pay attention to
Absolutely.
what's come before.
Absolutely. Again, that is why, I wrote When We Practice to Deceive, because I wanted to tell the current history of the trans woman community so that people could see them, understand them, and support them because they're under attack,
Yeah,
both politically from this administration um, and from their intimate partners, unfortunately, who have buyer's remorse. It's a real crazy thing. They go out of their way to find them and to court them and to create a connection, if not a relationship or a situationship with them. But then they get this buyer's remorse and they flip.
it's
And
so tragic, and it's again, it is becoming an epidemic, as you said, to be portrayed by someone who is supposed to provide a safe space for you,
yes,
is absolutely the most heartbreaking thing I can imagine. It's bad enough that there was a concerted, deliberate attack by
yes,
our government on
exactly.
our trans community, and
Very much so.
yeah, where cruelty is the point.
In
Yeah,
Florida, they just made it out against the law to wear different clothing. If you dress outside your gender, you're breaking the law. First of all, what do you mean? Clothes are inanimate objects. How do you give them a gender?
exactly. And
And
again,
second
that's
of all, that sounds like what started Stonewall
yeah,
with Marsha P. Johnson and the other trans women who were like, we're sick and tired of this. We want to dress the way we want to dress. And
right.
now
But
here we are in 2026, and they're saying in the state of Florida, you can't put on clothing that isn't gender specific. What
yeah,
is that?
it's horrifying, and it's deliberate. Like I said, in the '60s, that was on the books. I know even in New York City, that's what
Yeah,
around the time of Stonewall, people were getting arrested for dressing,
yes,
and to have that come back to the books in 2026, that is horrifying.
it is. It's
Yeah,
very horrifying. It's so like, what are we doing? We're going backwards. We're going
right.
backwards. It's crazy. And again, people think they don't know trans people, but they do.
They do.
They're your next door neighbor. They're the girl or the guy that's answering the phone when you call the telephone company or you go out to your grocery store or wherever. Sonny, who's in playing the lead in the play, she's beautiful. She's talented. She's well educated. She's got an incredible career. And I'm sure most people have no idea. She doesn't walk around with a sign on her back saying,
Right.
I'm a trans woman. She just lives her incredible life, both in corporate world as well as in the artistic world. And we're
Exactly.
so glad to have her. And I'll tell you, she probably wouldn't want me to tell you, but she had great reservations about doing it
Really.
because it was so close to home. I
I
had to
see.
assure her that we were not going to do psychodrama. This was not going to devolve into some kind of PSA or some kind of you know clinical, you know, discussion about here's a trans person in their natural environment. No.
Exactly. Yeah.
I had to send her the script and she was able to read it and laugh and enjoy it. And then that assuaged her fears. And I could understand where she was coming from. No one, no one wants to be in a tired psychodrama
Right. It's a
about
human
their
relatable
lives,
story.
especially a life that they're currently living
Yes.
and thriving in. She's thriving.
Yeah. And that is absolutely wonderful to hear. And, she, as long with our trans community, they have every right to live their lives, and we have to be here to
Be
provide them a
allies.
space to do that and to be allies and be with them, and provide that
Yes, we
safe.
gotta be allies. When a trans woman is attacked, we're all being attacked.
Exactly.
Because I mean, the motive comes up like that horrible story on Facebook that I sent to my cast. At the bottom line, the last thing they said is he committed this crime, he said, because he didn't want his sexual orientation exposed. In 2026, I'm dumbfounded. What
No
difference
words.
would it make in 2026?
Yeah.
The kids are coming out at 9 and 10 now, and
Hmm.
being trans at 9 and 10 and 11 and 12, and being accepted. They're given medical treatment and
Right.
hormones and all these wonderful stuff at a very young age. So I don't understand what would make you commit homicide over
I don't.
something as simple as your orientation.
It breaks my heart, and I'm and again, because we need people to make us feel safe, and we need to know that we are, and the trans community needs to know that they are loved and they need to be protected, and we don't want this tragic story to become the norm,
Duplicated and
and to
become the
be
norm.
exactly,
We can never tolerate it to the point where we just take it for granted that it's going to happen or that it's
exactly,
okay to happen. No, we have to combat it at every way. And I'm trying to do my part through theater because that's where I express myself the best. Like I said, I'm an activist playwright, so I'm tackling this issue, but I'm using instead of a blunt hand, I'm using the feather, the lightness of a feather of humor to get
exactly,
90 minutes to laugh with us, think with us, watch Mother Cooper as she grows through the course of these 90 minutes and follow her, be her, and come out on the other side and be happy that you had the journey. Everyone is going to have such a good time. I can't wait because it's such fun. I know people think, oh my God, what's they going to do? How they're just come and see. You're going to enjoy yourself. It's a good evening of theater. One thing I feel important as a live theater artist, as a playwright, we have to battle the streaming services. We have
yes,
to battle the phones. We have to make people still feel like it's worthy to put up their phone, to put down their remote control, leave their house, get in the car or on the subway or whatever, and come to a live space and see live performers and enjoy yourself. Remember what theater is like. I think that's the charge of anyone who's writing or doing theater today. That's your charge. You have no excuse for doing anything that's mediocre or bad because we're fighting this lethargic energy because of streaming services, phones. People can pull up movies and stuff on their phones, even when they're on the subway and whatever. And we have to combat that and say it's still worthy to come out to, whether it's Broadway or it's off Broadway, like we're doing. Just come out and let this beautiful live experience wash over you, remind you what live art, live theater is and how transformative it can be. It's no there's no words for sitting in a live theater and seeing live performers before you make you laugh and make you cry and make you think. It's tenfold to sitting at home staring at your screen. I don't care how big it is.
100%. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and I am very grateful that I am still someone who, has the privilege to attend a lot of live theater and to see a lot of great artists and to recognize how important it is to hear their voices and to hear their stories. And I'm someone who just doing this with you right now, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be able to remind people of that and say, hey, yeah, this is still a whole other world of theater that is so much better, and we have to preserve it, and we have to fight for our artists and for uh,
Live
that form.
experience,
The live experience is everything, and nothing
everything.
tops it. There's nothing better than being and in the moment with a group of people and experiencing that live performance of people right in front of you. It's never going to happen in exactly the same way with the same
Never,
group of
never.
people. It's
Yes, you could come see this show every single night. I guarantee you, people are going to laugh in different places. People are going to awe in different places. People are going to get upset in different places. It's the magic of live performance, whether it's theater or dance or music or whatever. And we have to keep reminding people and that what that live experience is like, especially now because the young people didn't grow up like we did, being taken to Broadway shows. Remember they had those little tickets,
hmm
and you paid like $20 or so and got to go to see a Broadway show with your
yeah,
class and all that was, oh, those were wonderful days and stuff. They don't do that anymore now. They, like I said, they play the Marlon Rig videos right in the classroom because they can do that now. They have YouTube and all this stuff, and they do it. So it's great, but it reinforces this sort of addiction to the screen, whether it's the phone screen or the television screen. And
right.
that's great. I'm not knocking that at all. People, they're doing their job, but we have to at the same time advocate and produce and push for people to not give up on the live experience. I would
Exactly.
not exist if there wasn't live theater.
I agree 100%. And again, I as a performer and as a an enthusiast of live theater, I can say it's almost become my calling and my mission to remind people of how wonderful that experience is and how magical it is. Sure, streaming YouTube, whatever,
Right.
it's like none of that will ever compare to being in that theater as the lights go down and the curtain comes up.
Yes, exactly. It's nothing like it. It's nothing like it at all. And I applaud you for doing this work because I know there's not a lot of people doing it. I mean, uh, about 7 years ago, I was a theater critic for about 3 years for an online magazine. And I got to go to all the theater, especially all the Broadway shows and everything. And it was wonderful. So I know you get to experience. It's wonderful. I mean, it was like every week I was like, what do I get to see this week? You know, the press agencies would, send me emails. Do you want to see this or do you want to see that? And I never said no. I said yes, always, always. I don't care if it's Broadway or if it's what's down in some 25-seat theater in East Village or whatever. As long as it's a live experience, I'm going and I'm going to
I,
write about it.
I couldn't agree more, and I
Yeah.
thank you for saying that. I'm very grateful for it. It really is. It's something that I would never take for granted. Not to see opportunity to see, theater, but also to see things I never would have dreamed of, and can be inspired by and moved by. And I'm the same way. I'll take every opportunity I can get to a live show, in whatever Broadway or as far off Broadway as can possibly be found. It's all it's all
It's all
meaningful to me.
live. You
Yeah,
can't beat that. You get that excitement inside of you because you don't know what's going to happen when that curtain comes up. You don't know.
exactly.
You're at the the moment of contact, actor to audience, and you have no idea. But it's always something electric.
It's the greatest feeling you can have as both as an artist on the stage or as as an enthusiast in the audience. I think that, and those two together are just magic.
Just to reiterate, when we practice to deceive, it's a love letter to the trans community in specific, but to the LGBTQ plus community in general. I'm honored to be featured by the All Outs Arts in their Fruit Festival, which is like 24 years now. It's one of the most influential and most important festivals for the LGBTQ plus community in the country, and we're just ecstatic that we get to perform and present. And myself, as just a humble playwright who started, like you said, back in the '80s, I mean, just excited. Again, it's when April 23rd, 24th, and 26th. There's 6 p.m. on the 23rd and 6 p.m. on the 24th, and noon on that Saturday the 25th at the Wow uh, Theater Project and 195 East 3rd Street. And I look forward to welcoming you all to come and laugh with us and learn with us and live live theater with us.
Thanks again to Reginald T. Jackson, and we will see you next time on Indie Influencer.